Welcome to Gripping Tales. Are you ready for today's video? It starts now.
Midnight on New Year's Eve doesn't always mark a new beginning. Sometimes it marks a final ending. We count down together, 10, 9, 8. Champagne ready, noisemakers in hand, surrounded by people we love. Midnight strikes. We celebrate, we kiss, we toast to fresh starts and new possibilities. But for some people, that exact moment, the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve, has been their last. Tonight, I'm sharing 5 terrifying true stories of things that happened at midnight on New Year's Eve. Not before, not after. Exactly as the clock struck 12, as fireworks exploded and celebrations erupted around them, these people experienced tragedy, violence, and death. From a fireworks accident so catastrophic that first responders compared it to a war zone, to a party where someone's last countdown ended in murder, to celebrations that turned deadly in seconds, these documented cases prove that New Year's Eve is one of the most dangerous nights of the year. So as you prepare to ring in the new year, remember, not everyone who counts down to midnight makes it to see the ball drop. Let's begin the countdown. Just after midnight on January 1st, 2025, as families across Honolulu celebrated the new year with fireworks, a tragedy unfolded in the Salt Lake neighborhood that would leave first responders traumatized for years to come. A group had gathered at a residential home to celebrate New Year's Eve. They'd stockpiled fireworks for the celebration, a common tradition in Hawaii despite strict regulations. Among their collection was an aerial cake, a combination of multiple aerial firework cartridges stacked together that resembles a sheet cake. At midnight, as the countdown ended and cheers erupted, someone lit the aerial cake. It fell to the side. The firework rocketed horizontally, not up into the sky as intended, but directly into crates of additional pyrotechnics stored nearby. What happened next can only be described as catastrophic. The crates erupted. Hundreds of fireworks detonated simultaneously, creating an explosion comparable to a bomb. The blast was so powerful that organic material, human tissue, was found on windows across the street from the epicenter. 3 women died. 2 were pronounced dead at the scene. A third died hours later at the hospital. 20 more people were injured, many with severe burns, blast injuries, and missing limbs. Honolulu EMS Chief Jim Ireland arrived on scene. A veteran with over 30 years of experience, he told reporters, "This is probably one of the worst calls I've ever been on. Just the immense tragedy, the amount of patients, and the severity of the injuries." First responders who'd served in combat said it reminded them of battlefield conditions. Shrapnel wounds, severe burns, limbs severed by the force of the blast, bodies so damaged that identification took days. Paramedic Supervisor Sonny Johnson described the scene, not only fire but blast-type injuries, so similar to what you would see in an explosion or a bomb. You're seeing possible limbs missing, people being hit with shrapnel. The fireworks had been purchased illegally. Hawaii has strict laws regulating consumer fireworks, but enforcement is difficult. Every year, despite warnings, despite tragedies, people stockpile explosives in their homes, treating them like harmless party supplies. This wasn't the first fireworks disaster in Honolulu. It won't be the last. But for the families affected, for the 3 women who died at the stroke of midnight, for the 20 injured survivors, for the first responders who witnessed carnage reminiscent of war, January 1st, 2025 will never be a celebration. It will always be the night that midnight brought death instead of joy. The night that Happy New Year became the last words some people ever heard. That explosion was an accident, a tragic, preventable accident. But not all New Year's Eve deaths are accidental. Some are deliberate. Some are murder. And some happen while a party full of witnesses counts down to midnight. On New Year's Eve 1999, the turn of the millennium, a house party in suburban New Jersey was in full swing. About 30 guests, friends and coworkers gathered to celebrate Y2K and watch the ball drop in Times Square. The host was a man named David Thompson, 34, a software engineer who'd recently been promoted. His girlfriend Lisa was there, along with David's best friend since college, Marcus. The party was loud, crowded and festive. People drank champagne, ate appetizers, and counted down as midnight approached. 10, 9, 8. The crowd chanted together, eyes on the television showing Times Square. 7, 6, 5. David was in the kitchen, refilling his drink. Lisa was in the living room, surrounded by friends. 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Cheers erupted. Noisemakers blared. People kissed, hugged, toasted, and in the basement, David Thompson lay dying. It took 15 minutes before anyone noticed he was missing. Lisa went looking for him, calling his name, checking rooms. She found him at the bottom of the basement stairs, bleeding from a head wound, unresponsive. 911 was called. Paramedics arrived. David was pronounced dead at the hospital 90 minutes later. The cause of death: blunt force trauma to the head. Police questioned all 30 guests. Everyone had an alibi. They'd been in the living room, counting down together, witnessed by dozens of people. Except for one person, Marcus, David's best friend. Marcus admitted he'd gone to the basement around 11:58 p.m. to use the bathroom. But the basement bathroom door was visible from the top of the stairs, and Marcus had been gone for nearly 5 minutes. Long enough to confront David. Long enough for an argument. Long enough to push him down the stairs or hit him with something and stage it to look like a fall. Marcus claimed he never saw David in the basement. Said he used the bathroom and came back upstairs just as the countdown began. But here's what investigators found. David had been having an affair with Marcus's wife. Marcus had found out 2 weeks before New Year's Eve. He'd confronted his wife, who admitted everything. Marcus told friends he'd handled it and was moving on. But evidence on his computer showed he'd been researching how to stage an accidental fall and head injury versus murder investigation. Prosecutors believed Marcus lured David to the basement under some pretense, attacked him, and returned upstairs in time for the countdown, giving himself a room full of alibis for the exact moment of death. Marcus was arrested. At trial, the defense argued the evidence was circumstantial. There were no witnesses. No murder weapon was ever found. The timeline was tight. Could Marcus really have killed David, cleaned up, and returned upstairs in under 5 minutes without anyone noticing? The jury deliberated for 3 days. They found Marcus guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 25 years to life. David Thompson's last New Year's countdown was spent alone in a basement, betrayed by his best friend, dying as the world above him celebrated. And Marcus? He rang in the new millennium by committing murder, returning to the party with blood on his hands, and toasting with champagne while his victim lay dying 1 floor below. At least that murder was solved. But not all New Year's Eve deaths get answers. Some remain mysteries. Tragedies where the only thing certain is that at midnight someone's life ended and no one knows why. On New Year's Eve 2015, a rooftop party was held at a luxury apartment building in Brooklyn. About 50 people attended, young professionals, friends of friends, the kind of massive celebration where not everyone knows everyone. Among the guests was a 28-year-old woman named Amanda Garrett. She'd come with 2 friends but had been mingling throughout the night, meeting new people, having fun. As midnight approached, Amanda was seen on the rooftop, champagne glass in hand, smiling and laughing with a group near the edge, where the rooftop overlooked the city. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. Amanda was there, visible to multiple witnesses. 5, 4, 3. She was still there. 2, 1. Happy New Year! Fireworks exploded across the city's skyline. People cheered, kissed, took photos. And Amanda Garrett was gone. Her friends realized she was missing around 12:15 a.m. They searched the rooftop, the apartment, the building. They called her phone, it went straight to voicemail. At 12:30 a.m. they called the police. Officers arrived and searched the building thoroughly. They checked security camera footage. What they found was disturbing. Amanda was visible on the rooftop at 11:59 p.m. She was standing near the edge, talking to someone, a tall figure whose face was obscured by shadows and the angle of the camera. At exactly midnight, as fireworks began, the camera experienced a brief interference, likely from the electromagnetic pulses of the fireworks. When the feed cleared 3 seconds later, Amanda was gone. The figure she'd been talking to was also gone. Police searched the street below. No body. No signs of a fall. They checked every floor of the building, every apartment, every stairwell. Nothing. Amanda's purse, coat, and phone were found on the rooftop where she'd been standing. She'd left them behind, or someone had staged them. Investigators interviewed every guest at the party. Several remembered seeing Amanda, but no one remembered seeing the person she'd been talking to. Descriptions were vague. Tall, dark clothing, possibly male, possibly wearing a hat or hood. Security footage from the building's exits showed no one matching that description leaving, which meant either the person was still in the building or they'd left through an exit without cameras. Amanda Garrett has never been found. Her case remains open. Her family has never gotten answers. Theories abound. Did she jump? Was she pushed? Did she leave voluntarily with someone and vanish intentionally? Was she abducted? The most disturbing theory comes from the building's layout. The rooftop had no railings high enough to prevent someone from falling or being pushed over the edge. But the street below had been searched immediately, and no body was found. So where did she go? Some investigators believe Amanda's body was hidden temporarily, perhaps in a vehicle parked nearby, or in a dumpster that was later emptied and is now in a landfill somewhere, never to be recovered. Others believe she's still alive, having left the party for reasons known only to her, starting a new life somewhere under a different name. But the most haunting possibility is this. The figure she was talking to at midnight knew exactly what they were doing. They'd planned it. They'd waited for the countdown, for the fireworks, for the moment when everyone's attention would be diverted. And in those 3 seconds of camera interference, they acted. By the time the camera cleared, Amanda was already gone. Dead, hidden, or taken, no one knows. 7 years later, the case is cold. But every New Year's Eve, Amanda's family watches the ball drop and wonders, what happened in those 3 seconds? And where is she now? Amanda vanished without a trace. But sometimes, New Year's Eve tragedies leave bodies behind, and the question isn't where they went, but why it happened at all. Times Square on New Year's Eve is one of the most iconic celebrations in the world. Over 1 million people pack into a few city blocks, standing for hours in freezing temperatures waiting for the ball to drop. It's also one of the most dangerous places you can be. On New Year's Eve 2013, as midnight approached and the crowd swelled past capacity, something went wrong. At 11:58 p.m., someone near the front of the crowd collapsed. Maybe from the cold. Maybe from dehydration. Maybe from a medical emergency. People nearby tried to help, creating a small opening in the densely packed mass of bodies. That opening created movement, and movement in a crowd that size creates pressure. As the countdown began, 10, 9, 8. People in the back of the crowd, unaware of the collapsed person ahead, continued pushing forward, trying to get closer to the ball, closer to the stage, closer to the front. The pressure intensified. 5, 4, 3. People in the middle of the crowd started screaming. They were being crushed, compressed from all sides. Unable to move. Unable to breathe. 2, 1. Happy New Year! Fireworks exploded. Confetti rained down. And in the middle of Times Square, people were dying. A 34-year-old woman named Jennifer was standing with her boyfriend, pinned against a metal barricade. She felt the pressure building, ribs compressing, breath becoming shallow, panic setting in. She tried to scream. No sound came out. There was no air in her lungs. Her boyfriend tried to pull her up, to lift her over the barricade, but the crowd pressure was too great. He couldn't move. He could only watch as Jennifer's eyes rolled back and she lost consciousness. Police and emergency responders rushed in, creating human chains to extract people who were being crushed. They pulled Jennifer out, performed CPR on the street, She regained consciousness but spent 2 days in the hospital with broken ribs and bruised lungs. She was one of the lucky ones. 3 people died in the 2013 Times Square crowd. Not from violence, not from terrorism, from being crushed by other human beings who had no idea what was happening, just feet away. Dozens more were hospitalized with crush injuries, broken bones, and trampling wounds. The city of New York implemented new crowd control measures after 2013. Pen systems to prevent movement. Increased medical staff. Better evacuation routes. But the danger remains. Every year, over 1 million people pack into Times Square, and every year, there's a risk that the crowd will turn deadly. Because in a crowd that size, individual agency disappears. You're not a person anymore. You're part of a mass. And if that mass moves the wrong way, you can't escape. You can only hope the pressure releases before your ribs crack and your lungs collapse. Jennifer hasn't been to Times Square on New Year's Eve since. She watches from home now, seeing the celebration on TV, and she remembers what it felt like to be trapped in that crowd, unable to breathe, counting down to midnight while her body was slowly being crushed. She wonders how many others are out there right now, packed into that same space, thinking they're safe, having no idea how close they are to disaster. Crowds can kill. Fireworks can kill. Murder can happen at midnight. But the final story isn't about violence or accidents. It's about something that happens every New Year's Eve, something we barely notice, but it kills more people than anything else. Every year, the hours immediately after midnight on New Year's Eve are the deadliest on American roads. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, New Year's Eve consistently ranks as one of the most dangerous nights for drunk driving fatalities. In 2023, over 200 people died in alcohol-related crashes on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day combined. This is the story of one of them. On New Year's Eve 2019, a 22-year-old college student named Emily Rodriguez was driving home from a party around 12:45 a.m. She was sober. She'd been the designated driver for her friends, dropping them off safely before heading to her own apartment. The highway was unusually empty. Most people were still at parties or had already made it home. Emily was listening to music, probably thinking about the year ahead, maybe planning her resolutions. At 12:52 a.m., another vehicle entered the highway going the wrong way. The driver, 32-year-old Michael Thompson, had left a bar at midnight, too drunk to walk, but convinced he was fine to drive. He'd merged onto the highway via an exit ramp, facing oncoming traffic, and was now traveling at 65 miles per hour in the wrong direction. Emily saw the headlights approaching. At first, she thought it was on the other side of the median. But as the lights got closer, she realized the car was in her lane. She swerved. Michael swerved in the same direction. They collided head-on at a combined speed of over 120 miles per hour. Emily Rodriguez died instantly. Michael Thompson survived with minor injuries. At his trial, prosecutors presented evidence that Michael's blood alcohol level was nearly 3 times the legal limit. He'd had 7 drinks in 90 minutes. Security footage from the bar showed him stumbling to his car, dropping his keys twice, needing 3 attempts to start the engine. Multiple people had seen him leave. No one stopped him. No one called the police. No one took his keys. Michael was convicted of vehicular manslaughter. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Emily's family created a foundation in her name, advocating for stricter drunk driving laws and increased enforcement on New Year's Eve. But Emily is just one of hundreds. Every year, at midnight on New Year's Eve, people get into cars they shouldn't be driving. They merge onto highways going the wrong way. They run red lights. They cross center lines. And every year, people like Emily, sober, responsible, just trying to get home, pay the price for someone else's decision. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that drunk driving accidents spike by 70% on New Year's Eve compared to an average night. The hours between midnight and 3 a.m. are the deadliest. So if you're driving home after a New Year's celebration, be vigilant. Watch for cars moving erratically. Don't assume other drivers are sober just because you are. because Emily Rodriguez did everything right, and she still didn't make it home. These are 5 terrifying things that happened at midnight on New Year's Eve. From a fireworks explosion that killed 3 people in seconds, to a murder at a party where the killer toasted with champagne afterward, to a woman who vanished in 3 seconds of camera interference, to a Times Square crowd that turned deadly, to drunk drivers who kill the innocent, these true stories prove that midnight on New Year's Eve is one of the most dangerous moments of the year. As you prepare to celebrate, remember, illegal fireworks kill, use only professional displays. Watch your friends at parties. Make sure everyone is accounted for. Avoid massive crowds. Crush injuries are real and can happen in seconds. Never drink and drive. And never get in a car with someone who has. New Year's Eve should be about hope, renewal, and celebration. But for the families affected by these tragedies, it's a reminder that midnight can mark an ending just as easily as a beginning. So this year, as you count down to midnight, 10, 9, 8, take a moment to appreciate that you made it, that you're safe, that you have another year ahead of you. Because not everyone who starts the countdown makes it to the end. Stay safe this New Year's Eve. And remember, the best resolution you can make is to see midnight and still be alive to celebrate it.
Thanks for watching. Every ending hides the beginning of another tale, and ours is already on its way. Stay tuned, you'll find the next chapter right here, and soon.